I'm here outside the Missouri History Museum in beautiful and lovely Forest Park in St. Louis, Missouri, with Khalid AbdulQaadir.
Yes, sir.
And I have to say, first off, I've known this young man since he was a kid. His father was a mentor of mine, teacher of mine, and a very well-known, respected figure in the Muslim community in this part of the country. So when I heard that you were doing this film and your other films, I'm always very excited to see what's going on.
Appreciate that.
And this exhibit here is you had the book the Lost Children of Mill Creek,
Yep.
and there's a exhibit here at the History Museum right now on the Mill Creek. And I'll say when I was a kid, my grandmother used to tell me, she would say when I was a kid, they came my grandparents met on Market Street.
Oh,
At the
okay.
old St. Louis Dairy,
Yeah, downtown.
which my grandfather had come back from World War II and was working there. They met there, and she used to say, you know, when I was a kid, most of the black population in St. Louis were living south of Union Station, you know, which would be the Mill Creek area, right? And I was thinking, you know, she's misremembering. She don't know what she's talking. You know, kind of you dismiss your elders to your own peril. And she was correct. So what was your first memories of the Mill Creek or hearing about the Mill Creek?
I actually had a similar experience, you know. So I never heard the words Mill Creek spoken from my grandmother, but definitely from my dad and my aunts and uncles. They would talk about Mill Creek, you know, and how it was the only place that black people could live. But you know, a similar situation like you had, I didn't really know how much I could believe of what my dad used to tell me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know. And so it was kind of in one ear, out the other, and I didn't really pay no real attention to it. It wasn't until I went to high school and I learned about Josephine Baker.
Okay.
And that she was from St. Louis. She lived in Mill Creek. That's what made me put two and two together. Like, oh, this is an actual place. Like, it was a neighborhood, it was a community, so on and so forth. But then after that, I didn't really think nothing else about Mill Creek for 30 years. You know what I'm saying? So, come like 2022 or something, I see the book on my dad's desk.
Vivian Gibson, right?
Vivian Gibson, right?
Yeah.
The Last Children of Mill Creek. And I just happened to flip it open, and I think I turned right to a page and seen, you know, my grandfather's name,
Wow.
and my grandmother's name, and my aunt's name in this book. And that was, you know,
Lattimore's.
Yeah, Lattimore's.
Yeah.
And so I read the whole book in like a weekend. And it was very interesting to me to be able to, you know, corroborate some of the stories that I heard from my father and my uncles and stuff like that
Right.
in this book. So
Right.
now I'm hearing it from another source. So now I'm like, wow, there's more truth to that.
Right.
So fast forward to 2023, I started doing my PhD at SLU, and I got a professor there, Dr. Benjamin Looker. Yeah, good dude. He takes us on a walking tour of the actual Mill Creek area, and he's showing us how St. Louis University, you know, a large part of their North Campus, I think they call it, is Mill Creek. They got like 30 acres of the land when it was taken, and that's what made me.
Even in recent years, have been buying up.
Oh yeah, still buying it. Yep.
Yeah.
They just got the church there, you know, on Old
Yeah.
Pine Street and stuff like that. And so at that point, I hit Vivian up on Facebook, and I just let her know, like, hey, I'm a Lattimore.
Yeah.
I read the book. You know what I mean? Whatever I can do. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever you doing, let me know, because I'm interested in it. This is my legacy, her legacy, obviously. So. Then that's when she told me that she was thinking about doing a documentary and stuff like that, and then we just got to roll.
It just rolled from there.
Yeah.
And in the course of doing this, have you interviewed other families, interviewed people with legacy in the neighborhood, or elders who would live there as children?
Yep, that's exactly what we did. So Vivian had a list of people that was compiled. So after they did there's an artist who did like some statues in front of the soccer stadium, and they did a news segment of that. And for the news segment, they wanted people who lived in Mill Creek to come and see the memorial and be part of the news segment.
Right.
And so when that happened, that's when, Vivian got hold of the list of all the people. Some people she helped contact, some people they had contacted, or whatever. But anyway, she had a list of folks who were still around.
Yeah.
And so we used that same list and we did interviews. We interviewed all these people because what I wanted to do was create an oral history of people who actually lived in Mill Creek.
Right.
And try to capture that information, before they
pass away. Yeah, that's very important. And I think this is part of a trend. We saw the Kinlock documentary, and we know we have a pattern in the St. Louis area, Mill Creek.
Yep.
What's going on in North St. Louis right now, especially after the tornado in St. Louis County, Kinlock, Robertson, Meacham Park, the area where the Maplewood, Richmond Heights, where all that retail is now, was a black community. So we've seen this pattern replicated throughout St. Louis, but Mill Creek was kind of an early illustration of what the future was going to bring.
Right. Yeah, it was really the blueprint.
It was the blueprint.
Because Mill Creek was one of the first black communities to be demolished under urban renewal, which was the federal government's policy that went nationwide.
So what do you think black St. Louisans lost with the loss of Mill Creek?
I had a conversation with a young man Thursday because they showed the movie at St. Louis University. And he asked a question about, the impact and stuff like that. And I explained to him that something I would like to do next, either another documentary or a research project, I'd like to look at homicide records and court documents and look at, both perpetrators and the victims of homicides and see if I could trace their families back to these communities, particularly Mill Creek, and see if I could find a scenario where I get people whose family were like neighbors. You know what I'm saying? Because when you watch the documentary that I did, you hear these firsthand accounts of Mill Creek. They talk about that community, how nobody locked their doors, they didn't experience all the violence. People shared food with each other. They traded goods and services. It was a very tight-knit, interlocking, and fully self-sufficient community where you could have like doctors and lawyers living next to people who were street sweepers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't no classism or nothing like that, you know what I'm saying? And when they broke that community into pieces, what it did was it sent the black community, just from those who came from Mill Creek, it sent that portion of the community just
scrambling,
constant decline.
And we've seen this in other places, tight-knit communities, and they're scrambling.
Yep.
So moving to today, and so I told you I was going to call some people out.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. We have to recognize the history of Mill Creek just like we have to recognize the history of Kinlock, but a statue at a soccer park or artwork is not real justice. People have material needs, housing, jobs, particularly housing. We got a nationwide housing crisis, only made worse in St. Louis after the tornado. We don't seem to have people in place who are interested in rectifying that situation. So I don't want white liberals to feel too good about themselves for going to a museum exhibit or looking at some artwork and pat themselves on the back and just put it in their repertoire of hors d'oeuvres conversation with Ta-Nehisi Coates and stuff like that. Virtue signaling. What materially can be done inspired by this for the housing needs of black St. Louisans who are facing these struggles?
Yeah, that's a good point. And I always talk about the, when there is a monumental effort to enact some type of change, it takes an equal amount or greater amount of effort to reverse, repair, or to cause that the results of that change to move in a different direction. And so if you look at the amount of resources that was put into destroying a community like Mill Creek, over 8,000 housing units, over 800 businesses, 20,000 people, you know what I'm saying? What kind of resources would it take to have a reverse effect of that? And at that point, yeah, you're moving away from all the virtue signaling and stuff like that. This is something where you mobilize hundreds or thousands of people. You get construction companies. You buy land. You buy property. You build communities. You build affordable housing. And it would take the municipality to be part of that, just like they were part of the destruction.
When that happens, I'll pat y'all on the back.
Yeah. And that's what is not happening. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I tell people all the time that in our current political climate, you know, these right-wing folks have been willing, and I don't know no political thing, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, yeah.
These right-wing folks have been willing to reach a level of extreme in order to see to it that their interests and values and needs are met. And what we don't have from the political left, especially our white liberal folks, is that type of energy. You know what I'm saying?
A little low energy.
Match the energy.
Little Jeb Bush type of thing going on. So what's the name of the film?
The film is called Mill Creek, When We Were There.
Where can people watch it if they're not available to come to the Missouri History Museum?
So it's gonna show here at 1 o'clock and then at 3 again. And after that, I think Vivian's gonna make it available publicly.
Okay.
It may be through the Humanities Commission. You know, they got like an app where you can watch films and stuff.
Okay.
Or she might put it up on YouTube.
Well, there you have it. Khalid AbdulQaadir here in St. Louis.
Yes, sir.
Great talking to you.
Thank you, brother. Good to see you.
Good.